Welcome to the 3 Knockdown Rule. Starring Mario Lopez and Steve Kim. Presented by Hustler Casino.
Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to our show on YouTube. It's fun. It's funny. I break this guy's balls. His wig looks crazy every week, but it's still worth doing it. Check out these badass shirts we got right now. Check it out.
Even though Mario's on it, you'll still learn something, and it's still some insightful analysis. And then I bring the funny, and I don't know what he brings.
No.
What are you talking about? I'm the star of the show here.
You bring the grumpy.
Oh, but the grumpy. Anyway, like and subscribe.
Yes,
3
please.
Knockdown Rule.
We appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 Knockdown Rule is back in effect, brought to you by Hustler Casino. I'm Steve Kim, and I'm joined by Mario Mania. It's running wild. Lopez. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Sign of the cross right there. Not to bring the whole room down, though. We'll get to that later on the ones and twos. Smoking Tim Frazier here.
And we have a big show, the bout sheet for this week. Top Rank ESPN finale from the Garden. The Windy City Showdown brought to you by Golden Boy Promotions, Ask Mario, and Final Flurries.
I'm going to hold your hand while I tell you this, but I can nearly guarantee your GLP-1 provider is overcharging you. If your provider raises your price every time your dose goes up, you're definitely overpaying. And the membership fees, you shouldn't even have to pay just extra for that. That's why I tell everyone about LifeRx. It is $250 a month flat, no matter the dose, no extra fees, ever. They've got thousands of 5-star reviews. All the meds come from the U.S.-based FDA-registered pharmacies. It is literally no-brainer, folks. Just go to LifeRx, tap below. Check them out.
Also, this podcast is sponsored by Hustler Casino, where the heat isn't just outside, it's on the gaming floor, too. All summer long, the prizes are heating up at LA's only luxury casino. Play your favorite game, baccarat, blackjack, poker, and more. There's always serious summer money just waiting to be won. Don't miss out. Stop by, get in the game, and see how big you can win this summer at Hustler Casino or online at hustlercasino.com.
Round 1.
All right, we begin round number 1. MSG Theater in New York on ESPN. It's the final ride with Top Rank and the new WBO junior middleweight champion of the world, Xander Zayas, with a clear-cut 12-round decision over Jorge Chino Garcia. Your scores, 116-112, 118-110, 119-109. Mario, I think it was kind of poetic in a sense that a young man that began his career on ESPN Plus ends this run being crowned a world champion.
That was a nice little moment for obviously him and for Top Rank, the company itself. And you're right. It's funny because when Zayas let his hair grow out a little bit, my guy walked in looking like a Puerto Rican Leonardo DiCaprio.
Not Benny Blanco.
Not Benny Blanco. Benny Blanco had short hair, bro. Don't you remember Benny Blanco from the Bronx? That was Lake Wazamo. No, he definitely had more Puerto Rican DiCaprio vibes. But I like what I saw. Look, the kid has stayed out of trouble, stayed focused, continued to develop. His footwork is better than I thought, actually, and it continues to get better. He uses his distance well. He's got fast hands. He's intelligent in there. He was pretty dominant, even though that was a game-tough Mexican who was able to tag him a couple times. It was just too infrequent and wasn't able to kind of get any sort of momentum to really hurt him. But because of that footwork, he was able to use those angles, fire off those combinations, and he walked out of there with an impressive victory. Now, if you're being meticulous, I thought we might be seeing him get into his man strength, quote unquote, at this point. I know he is only 22, but punchers are born, not made. I think we would have seen that by now. I think he is who he is. He can death by a thousand cuts, but not necessarily he's going to bludgeon you and take you out of there with one or even two shots. And that's okay. But Felix Trinidad, he's not. So it remains to be seen how high his ceiling is, especially in this tough weight class.
Can I go through the names?
That's the thing about this
Virgil
division, bro.
Ortiz, Sebastian Fundura, Bakram Murtalazayev, Sergey Boachuk, Erickson Lubin, Jesus Ramos, and don't forget Israel Madrimov.
And all those dudes, I would say, crack a little more, have a little bit heavier hands than Zayas. I thought they've done a great job, Top Rank, in bringing him along. Is he ready? Now I pose it to you to
He's a
jump
world
in.
champion.
I guess he is now, right? He's a world champion. I guess not. Is he ready? No, pardon me. Would you favor him? Is a better question against any of those fighters. That's my question.
Quite frankly, no. And I don't want to hear, well, let him make some money. He's not ready. Oh, wait.
Let him make some money.
Uneasy should be the head that wears the WBO crown.
Right.
And unfortunately, as you noted, he hits a little bit more like Ivan Calderon than Miguel Cotto. And look, I think he's physically gotten some man strength, muscular. I think the 54's taken a toll on him. And it may be sooner rather than later when he moves up to 160. He's a good, sharp boxer. But I remember when I first saw him in Reno, I was actually at that card. The main event was Shakur Stevenson winning his first world title against Joet Gonzalez. And I remember thinking, let's see in 4 to 5 years if he develops his power. And, my view is this. At age 17, if you're not a power hitter, by age 22, you're not a power hitter. I don't think suddenly at 25 you become Babe Ruth.
Power is a lot like speed. Either you have it
Or you don't.
or you don't.
And I look at Xander Zayas, good boxing IQ, good legs, but at the upper reaches of this division and beyond, unless you are impeccable as a boxer, like a Pernell Whitaker type, Shakur Stevenson, it's hard to stay clean if you can't swat enough where guys aren't just going to be coming on you like in waves. So that's the question mark that I have with Xander Zayas.
A lot of fun potential matchups that can be made. And you're right. There's no more, not that he was ever sort of avoiding, but he's in the deep end now. He's got to face those names.
Yeah, and congratulations to Xander. I don't want to come off as being harsh. Very nice young man.
Very nice.
Very marketable.
I agree with you,
and he's
100%.
developed his skills,
Yes,
but we're
he
just
has.
kind of like pointing out the reality
That's
of what
all.
awaits at 154.
Right.
Also, on this bill, for the WBC interim featherweight title of the world, Bruce Carrington pounds out a 12-round decision over Matthias Heita. I believe that Tim Bradley and I are two of the biggest advocates of Shushu Carrington, as are you. We like the kid.
We like Shushu. Great name, too.
But I love the fact that Tim Bradley, unlike most announcers, not just waving pom-poms, had enough guts to say, I want to see more. And I understand what he's saying because he dominated. But Mario, Heita was strong, rugged, and sturdy early on. Had a pretty heavy right hand. So I'm thinking, okay, can't rush in there. But I thought he seasoned him. I thought he tenderized them. I thought he softened them. And I thought he set it up in the late rounds for a big finish. Never came.
Yeah, again, I don't know if that's more credit to his opponent being as sturdy and tough as he is, but I thought Shushu boxed beautifully. I love the way he parries the jab, his little shoulder rolls, those counters, that right uppercut, and going to the body right after. Those combos are pretty, and they're nice. But yeah, you do want to see him at this level. Maybe take some guys out of there. We've seen him do it before. SportsCenter and ESPN were playing all of Emiliano Vargas'
They started
highlights.
off the broadcast.
They started
with him
off the broadcast
for a reason.
Exactly. More on him later, but I think that speaks volumes in how you win, how we always talk about not just winning. And he's a talented guy. It's refreshing to see a young kid like this to staying focused and stuff. He knows his craft. It was a nice display of boxing, but you want to see, again, being picky, the sort of these star-making performances to him to go to the next level. I like to call out to Rafa Espinoza.
I will say this. I don't want to say it was the worst fight ever. In fact, I love watching Bruce Carrington operate in the ring.
Right.
Because he's technically sound, fundamentally grounded. He can work from the outside, but he's comfortable inside the pocket. And that was my thing was, hey, you've kind of softened this guy up. You've chopped the tree.
Right.
Let's see the timber. And it never came. Currently, Carrington is rated 7th by Ring Magazine at featherweight. Let's look at the champions. WBO, Rafa Espinoza. IBF, Angelo Leo. WBC, Ray Vargas. And the WBA, Nick the Wrecking Ball. I think against all four, he's not out of the picture. In fact, I think he's favored over at least one or two of those guys.
I don't disagree. It's interesting that he called out Espinoza because I actually think that's his toughest matchup.
Yeah, the size.
Right?
The height.
So that was interesting that he singled him out because I think stylistically, at least it would appear that would be the toughest opponent, but maybe you see something we don't. I hope that happens. But yes, I thought Shushu looked good, but I think the thunder was stolen a little bit.
Yeah, in other words, that sentence ended with a period. All Tim Bradley and I wanted was an exclamation mark. And speaking of which, the show began with a bang. Junior welterweight, I would say prospect, not contender yet. Emiliano Vargas improves to 15-0, scoring his 13th knockout, just bludgeoning Alexander Espinoza with the pull counter right hand. Mario, this young man seems straight out of Central Casting, doesn't he?
I've said for a long time, and we've talked about this for a while now, he's got that star it factor.
Yeah.
And again, we were talking about either you're born with speed or born with power. Well, either you're born with star appeal. You either have it or you don't. And the kid's got it. He's good looking. He's a hell of a boxer. He seems very focused. He's obviously Latino, Mexican,
Órale.
and he's very very marketable, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's got the lineage with his father, and the legacy and all that. So right now the sky's the limit. Let's hope he doesn't get distracted. Let's hope he doesn't is pulled in different directions where his focus might not be there. Because so far I thought his dad and his team have done an awesome job with him, and he's a nice kid. Gotten to know him a little bit. He's a nice kid. So it's funny because he's 21 now, right? Yeah. And so they did a good job bringing him along. And I remember his dad
at 21.
Damn, at 21, he was already facing like Trinidad, Cortez,
Winky Wright,
exactly. So, and he was an Olympian too. So he had, and I think his dad's smart as far as the way he's strategically bringing him on. I would like to see him step it up a little bit, get some more rounds in there. But yeah, man, the kid has got a bright future. Should he stay focused?
Fernando Sr. told me 3 years ago as they were with Triller, remember them? He flat out said, what happened with me and what I allowed my career to be will never happen with any of my sons. And I know Top Rank is sky high in Emiliano. Keep this in mind. That was his third fight in 2025. But Mario, he's only gotten 5 rounds, though. The next guy that they face, and I believe he might be fighting in Mexico in early September.
That's great. 4 times this year? That's great.
Well, at least. You got to get someone that's going to extend him 4, 5, 6 rounds. There's a lot of talk of him fighting for a title. And my view is, hold on, folks, he's still an 8-round fighter. Right. There's so much here on the bone, but that's what he is. He is a prospect with superstar potential. And Top Rank, better than anyone, knows how to nurture these guys all the way to the top. So, Mario, that's it. I mean, ESPN and Top Rank, no hard feelings on either side. Things change in this business. I believe ESPN will stay in sports. I don't know if they will do boxing again. Top Rank will be on a new platform, I believe, by the fall. What are some of your thoughts on this overall relationship between 2017 and 2025?
Top Rank is one of the great companies out there, and they're resilient, and I think they're going to not only survive but continue to thrive. And, man, Bob Arum's a living legend. How old is he now?
94.
Bro! 94, still
first bell at 3:30 in the afternoon.
I love that.
First guy in the venue.
That's awesome. God bless him. I think they'll continue to adapt, maybe by streaming service, whatever the case may be, because I think live sports are king. News and sports will never go away, no matter how much the landscape goes. They might go to different platforms, but it'll never go away. And ESPN, I'm curious to see what they do as far as the combat space, because
UFC contract is running out, right?
Yeah, they're done with the UFC and now with boxing. So, UFC is going to have their deal over at Netflix and stuff. So it's weird, odd that they don't have a deal with anyone in the combat space. And I don't know if they're kind of waiting to see where the chips fall with some of these other promotions or how it's going to play out. How Netflix, I think the Canelo Crawford fight is going to determine a lot on where the chips may fall and how everything kind of plays out.
And I read last week that ESPN, they're spending a lot of money to acquire the NFL network. So obviously their funds are going to other places. Couple things. Number one, I would hope that the next time or the next network or platform that Top Rank has, that they control more of the production. Guys, we don't need a halftime show between every fight. And I don't mean just a halftime show. I'm talking Super Bowl halftime show. The other thing is, I don't believe you could develop a star, and no other sport does this, where your main event or your featured game begins past midnight. I get so many DMs and messages and from texts from people our age saying, Steve, I had to watch the main event in the morning. I fell asleep. Be mindful of the fact, as we get older, especially, we're not staying up till 1 o'clock to watch anything at this point.
Well, we're lucky we're on the West Coast.
Right, and the other thing was, I believe part of the reason the ESPN Top Rank relationship, I don't want to say petered out, but when they couldn't retain Shakur Stevenson, and then Teofimo Lopez had his issues.
Is he still with them? He's technically still with them,
He is,
right?
yes, absolutely. Still on their website, and whenever he fights, they get a piece of that cut whenever he fights. And remember, in 2018, when this thing went full steam ahead, they had 2 real bankable pillars and commodities. It was Vasyl Lomachenko Terrence Crawford. Well, one guy's not with Top Rank. The other guy just announced his relationship.
Right.
So then
now they've got Better Biev still, right? Inoue.
Junto Nakatani, Emiliano Vargas, Xander Zayas, Carrington, Oshaki Foster. Look, they still have a roster. Here's the problem, though, Mario.
Teofimo.
Again, sort of.
When he fights.
Don't you think a network, and just the way it used to be 40 years ago, they should be in the business of buying fights, not just a whole bunch of content from one promoter? And quite frankly, everyone has that deal. Here's the issue with that. You can't make fights at that point. You really can't.
Well, that's the thing. I think having a promoter in-house, it's much easier to facilitate, and with the speed of filling in these slots, when you have to deal with two entities, who knows how long that's going to take? You're going to feel pressured. I think maybe, and again, not trying to find any excuses here for the network, but I can see their thinking in that set. We might get screwed out of this because they know now we need them both. So it's kind of a double-edged sword for them.
And the other issue is none of these networks has an Alex Walu or a Mort Sharnik who are their boxing czars, who would say, we don't like that fight. We're not giving you that much money to get that fight out of here.
Ludabella.
The other, Ludabella at HBO, the guard dog or the guard rail. The other thing is, I hope that Top Rank moving forward has their own new version of Solo Boxeo or Showbox, because some of these really good young prospects, or like Steven Navarro was in a real fight, and I think he's going to be a future world champion. I thought he was in the best fight of the night, and guess what? Took place at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. No one was there. I just kind of like, sometimes you're better off being on those smaller local shows than being at 2:30 in the afternoon on a pay-per-view bill.
Big fish on a small pond, absolutely.
All right, well, that's it for round 1 of the 3 Knockdown Rule. We come back with Fight Preview.
Catch it streaming live right on YouTube.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
$1.2 million.
And I'm losing in this fucking game. What the fuck?
There's a 400K flip. If I win by way, you get 10 grand.
Constant fucking struggle
For my fans.
What?
Wow. All in the call.
I'm not fucking leaving.
Raise it up.
And we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule, brought to you by Hustler Casino. Hey, folks, are you looking to get involved with 3 Knockdown Rule and sponsor our show? We have some spots available. Please email us at info@boxbid.io. Once again, that's info@boxbid.io. Boxbid is an online platform that helps professional boxers connect with their fans by providing exclusive Fight Week merchandise, memorabilia, and sponsorships. You can even buy a shout-out on boxbid.io, which handles our sponsorships, and we are proudly working with boxbid.io.
Review preview.
All right, moving on.
That's a yes, I'm assuming.
Wednesday morning from Yokohama, the city, not the tire, in Japan, for the WBC and WBA flyweight titles, Kenshiro Taraji takes on Ricardo Sandoval, and the WBA bantamweight title is on the line. Antonio Vargas taking on Daigo Higa. Then Chicago, it's our type of town, Saturday night on the Zone, brought to you by Golden Boy Promotions. We're hoping to bring in Oscar and Eric here, but actually they're traveling on their way. Pretty good main event battle between 2 world-rated junior welterweights. Oscar Duarte takes on Kenneth Sims. Good fight.
That is a good fight. That's going to be a fun fight. All right.
And I love the fact someone is using Chicago, and I've said this for years.
So do I.
If you take a look
home
back,
Chicago.
From David Diaz to when Usyk went there about 5-6 years ago. Fernando Vargas actually drew a really big crowd one time. Big fight broke out with
there's a lot of raza in Chicago.
There is. That's why. And people in Chicago have told me for years, Steve, why won't the promoters come back to our city? And I said a lot of it's laziness, because a lot of these guys, they want the free hotel rooms, they want no ticket sales to be on their head, they just want the site fee. But I believe moving forward, especially with some of the issues Vegas is having, I've read that their tourism business is down big
time.
Big
time.
It's actually very empty for being a summer month, and their whole pool business or the poolside stuff not working. Who would have thought charging $28 for a bottled Coors Light would actually hurt the business overall over time?
Dude, can you imagine? And you're trying to step to someone and dang, you'll go broke.
Yeah, so I really think that this will be hopefully a dip in the toe that'll eventually be a full-blown Greg Louganis from Golden Boy Promotions. Also on this card, Crossroads Battle. Regis Prograis takes on Joseph Diaz. Loser of this fight goes home for good.
Yeah, you know what, though? Those are the type of fights that really end up delivering.
Yes, absolutely. And also a young heavyweight prospect that I like, the Rocket, Joshua Edwards, 3-0. This will be his 4th fight since the month of April. I've been told the plan, they're going to keep him very, very, very active.
Okay.
News and notes.
Moving on. All right, the tragic news. I found out about this on Sunday afternoon. Rest in peace to Dwight Muhammad Qawi, 72 years old, an International Boxing Hall of Famer, one of the great stories of redemption and reclamation in boxing. Look, had a life of crime, but actually learned how to box in Rahway State Prison and beat James Scott in a noted fight, and then became one of the world's best light heavyweights, and then a cruiserweight champion. And Mario,
awesome fight with Holyfield.
Oh my God, I watched it last night,
bro. Well, you could see every time I've seen that fight. I don't know how many times that fight was. Yes, and his little bob and weave style. I loved his style.
And there are people that thought Qawi won that fight. And keep this in mind. Atlanta was the hometown of Evander Holyfield.
Yeah.
Great story about that fight. It took place on Saturday afternoon on ABC.
Wow.
The ring announcer is a guy that's become an all-time great college football announcer, Brad Nessler. I always knew that was him, and then I read this graphic.
Saturday at NBC. So it's funny.
ABC.
I mean, pardon me.
Wide World of Sports.
It's funny that you say that because this past Saturday I was asking you, George, the UFC had a great card on ABC.
Yeah.
In the afternoon. So I'm hoping to get back to that group.
And I watched that fight last night, and Mario, I can just tell you, what they did to each other was cruel and unusual punishment.
I'm surprised Holyfield was able to continue with the career he had, considering, because, those type of fights take so much out of you. And what was Qawi coming in at? 5'7", maybe?
5'7". They used to call him the Camden Buzzsaw. And he was a guy, but he had good defense, had head movement, could see, and he would taunt people. And some reason that night at the Omni, which used to be the home of the Atlanta Hawks.
I remember the Omni in Atlanta. They used to wrestle there, too.
Right.
The Omni in Atlanta.
The air conditioning wasn't working.
Oh, you're kidding.
And that...
Are you serious?
Yeah,
and in Atlanta?
Yeah, in the summer.
Oh, no.
So humid.
So July
that
12th.
That must have felt like the Philippines when Frazier fought Ali.
Right. So Evander Holyfield has said in books, and he's been quoted, he said on that particular night, he thinks he lost about 18 pounds.
Damn.
I mean,
unbelievable.
And then right from the beginning, if you watch that fight, both guys were right in each other's chest.
Yeah.
Holyfield already looks tired by round 3, and I don't think he'd ever gone 12. Oof. Think about psychologically. You get through 8 rounds, and you basically tell a guy back to, okay, now we're halfway home. Think about the championship rounds. Now they're basically 10, 11, 12. I don't think today's fighters, even if you gave them a couple years to adjust, I don't believe anyone can actually really fight 15 rounds anymore.
There's some that just their stamina ends up carrying them through. If you think about like Roberto Duran's career, there's a lot of fights he would have lost if they didn't go 15 rounds. He actually ended up come from behind knockouts or wins, putting it together because of the 15 rounds. So it benefited a lot of these guys. Guys like Chavez.
Are you good with 12-round fights now?
I'm good. We don't need it longer. If you can't get it done 12, that's fine. 12, I think it had to do with the packaging too, with the commercials.
Television. Want a 1 hour window.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what an
12 is enough.
12 is enough. The other thing is about Dwight Muhammad Qawi, really served this community, helped people with drugs and alcohol addiction, lived a really good life. Ended up winning the heavyweight or light heavyweight title against Matthew Saad Muhammad, and then ended up losing a big unification bout against Michael Spinks in one of the most heavily hyped fights of the 1980s before becoming a cruiserweight champion. And by the way, was one of the early opponents at the heavyweight run of one George Foreman. His career record is 41-1-1. Again, rest in peace to the Camden Buzzsaw.
Great fight name.
And moving along to the Ask Mario section of the program, and this time I actually want to say my guy's name. Vintage Boxing, that's the channel, that's the station on YouTube that I watch the fight in, and all of these old classic vignettes, fights, previews, post-fight shows, all in HD quality. I don't know what he does with them, but he cleans them up. So Vintage Boxing has a question. He says, okay, Mario, for the betterment of getting boxing over to the masses again, do you think it's feasible for the networks, the major networks, to show delayed broadcasts, at least in order to accomplish this in some way? I don't know if it's possible. I know it should be done.
It's possible, for example, if they were going to have a deal with Peacock, let's say, then you can show it on NBC because it's the parent company. Hulu, if you're going to do it with that, then you can also show it on ABC because that's the parent company. So there are correlations there that can make it work. But I don't know why I think a lot of the streamers are going to get into, and pure speculation, I don't know for sure, are going to get into this business, but I think that is smart. That is a smart take. I think it would definitely help.
Mari, with the era that we grew up in and the fact that you had a hardworking Mexican parent, my parents were Korean, we weren't getting cable. Let's be honest. We probably didn't have HBO.
We had 3 channels.
Yeah, maybe. And, then you had like channel 5, 9, and 11.
Right, that was
LA.
it. That's right. Then 5, 9, and 11.
And
exactly.
13, KCOP.
That's right, KCOP.
But,
KTLA, KCOP, KCAL.
But we have to be honest. A lot of the fights that we talk about and reminisce over, we didn't watch live. We didn't have HBO, and they certainly weren't getting pay-per-view.
Correct.
I never really saw a fight closed circuit.
But we also didn't have social media.
Right.
And so for spoilers and all that too, unless someone called you. So now it's, I think, a little different because of that.
It is, but I'll never forget Ray Leonard against Tommy Hearn, September 16th, 1981. That fight was so big. I knew about it as a kid, or I was really young, and I remember that night it happened. CBS were watching a movie. They ran a scroll underneath.
They had a ticker?
They had a ticker, and I was like, that's how I found out.
Dang, that's old school. That's
but like
crazy.
a lot of other fights, I
How
didn't.
old
Wait,
are you, Kim?
I'm about as old as you
No,
are.
no.
Don't play
Kim's,
this
I
off.
think, got like 10 years on me.
They did that during a movie?
During a movie, regular programming.
Isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
I've only seen that like if it's the shuttle just exploded.
Right, like some major news event.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's how big boxing was. And
Yeah,
here's the other thing. Many of us saw a lot of those fights we talk about, like Arguello Pryor.
Yeah.
On CBS about 2-3 weeks later. Wow. Leonard Hearns, they did a full-blown Wide World of Sports where guess what? After the fight, and Vintage Boxing has it on his channel, Hearns and Leonard are sitting right between Howard Cosell going over the fight.
Yes. No, I get
And look how many people must have watched that.
Correct. But I think the difference now is people wouldn't tune in as much because they'd get inundated with the results because of social media. Back then, even though they happened.
But didn't we know the results of the fight?
No, not really.
You
Not really.
really.
If you didn't. No, especially don't because you're a lot older. Maybe you talked to a lot of other people.
I'm a lot older. Oh
but
my God.
no, you didn't unless you really investigated and did the research. It wasn't gonna,
Like you couldn't really be contacted unless it were by
correct.
phone
You
or
couldn't unless someone went out of their way to tell you.
We're talking,
you could
actually
watch
did the
the
research.
news
But we're
later.
talking a couple of weeks after the event, though. You're really going to stay away from every newspaper, the cover
No,
of Sports
no.
Illustrated?
But I'm saying, okay, but staying away from the newspaper is easy, bro. Back in the day, it's not like in our phone. That's what I'm saying. If you wanted to avoid news, it was hard. It was easy back in the day.
What happened was somewhere along the lines, the major premium cable networks said, no, we're only going to be the ones showing the replay. And my view was, well, wait a minute. What if you showed it before everyone else? You still don't want people, the tens of millions that have CBS, ABC, NBC, that don't have HBO to get a glimpse of this fight and the fighter you're going to show down the line. Again, there's a million little things that boxing allowed to happen that led to the state that we are in now.
YouTube also. YouTube would be on YouTube and all people. And I in theory, it makes sense. Now it'd be much more difficult to execute.
All right, and here's one from our boy Sanch. Ask that OG Jerry Curl Sancho, Mario Lopez. When is Virgil Ortiz going to actually step up and fight for a legitimate championship, being that this is his third weight class? I didn't think about this, but he's never actually been a full-blown champion. You know that?
Wow. He's not now?
No. Like, there's been a lot of interims, all that.
Right. Well, my guy's ready. And I like him in against any other 54-pounder, to be honest. All the names that you
I
rattled
think
off
he's
right
number
here.
one, and I'll say this, and I
So
tweeted
that's what I'm saying. I think he's
tweeted
the top,
this
yeah.
on Sunday. If boxing was a real sport and you wanted to actually please the fans, what's a great rivalry in boxing? What two ethnicities or
Mexican and Puerto Rican.
what fight do you think I'm talking
You
about?
talking about Xander Zayas?
Against Virgil.
Oh, dude, you want to feed him? Wait, he's a champion now. You're right.
Well,
he's a champion. Yeah,
that's my point.
Yeah, exactly. Dude,
That's
that'd be
my
good.
point. And
Yes.
I'm sick of people saying, well, Xander wouldn't win. Hey, folks, in every fight, guess what? There's a winner and there's a loser.
Well, you know,
Good
that
grief.
Golden Boy and Top Rank, they've been able to do business together in the past. That fight can get done.
And that fight would do good commercially.
I think it would.
And look,
Let's do it on Puerto Rican Day weekend or Mexican Independence Day weekend. Either way, one would make business.
I mean, let me just say, Bakram Murtalazayev, he can't get a fight. I'm hearing about some of the offers that are being made to other guys. I'm going to call Bakram, no more Bakram. He's just going to be called Boogeyman. And I think that's disgusting. Guys, he has a major world title.
Wow.
Stop acting like he's Gennady Golovkin of 2015. He's actually looked vulnerable, but guys are literally asking upwards of 5, 6, 7 million.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
It is.
I would put Virgil number one, but I'll tell you who's a tight two, Fundora.
I agree.
In my book, would you?
And that's another fight. if we're a real sport, you make that fight. Here's
fight.
one from Kevin the Trucker, the Picasso of Twitter. It's officially happening now. Every major American television network has walked away from boxing. Big deal, no big deal going forward. And why did this happen? I think we talked about a lot.
We just talked about it.
But think about it, the juxtaposition, big word. On a day, the same day basically, that ESPN ends their relationship with Top Rank. So for the first time in about, 75, 80 years, there's no regular major network airing boxing regularly, right? You told me on Saturday, ABC did, UFC. Wow. A little poignant there.
Exactly.
And the bottom line is this. The networks did not want to deal with the hassle. And the other thing was, boxing made itself too expensive to follow overall across the board. And once the fighters started acting like, hey, we need to get all the money, we want to be on paper. Because a fighter, look, if you're a young fighter, Mario, at age 25, and I give you two choices. Mario, do you want to fight for $1 million this particular time, but you're going to make 2.5, but it's great for marketing because a lot more people are going to see you on ABC? Or, but if we put this on pay-per-view, you're getting $5 million. Honestly, what would you take?
Who's my opponent?
Well, let's say it's the same opponent then.
No, okay,
but that does matter. But you're right.
You know what I mean? Because that's you got to factor. You got to factor all that in. I'm always a big picture thinker, so you got to think of what's better.
But no one is nowadays.
I know, unfortunately, or their team is not guiding them that way.
Here's one from Matthew Euros. Knowing Turkey likes using new and interesting venues to stage fights, where would you guys like to see fights held over the next decade?
A great question right there. There was talk about
Roman Coliseum.
Hey, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. There was talk of Alcatraz too.
Yeah.
That kind of random, but I'm all for it. I'm all for these random places. The Coliseum, Alcatraz. We've already did like. How
about SoFi? I would have thought by now we would have had some sort of event in SoFi Stadium.
You know, I even liked when we did it at what was the outdoor one right here? At the LAFC, right? The BMO. At BMO. That was fun. That was good. I love those kind of stadiums right there. I'm thinking of another something kind of cool. Grand Canyon. I mean, there's all kinds of random.
Okay, that's going to be a little hot there. Put up the canopy.
Not in the summer.
But that's going to be freezing. I got an idea. Let's just go back to the field. Can we use the War Grounds of Carson again? We haven't been there in 5-6 years.
I was just trying to think of crazy places.
Right. I know. Well, look, the Louis
San Diego
Armstrong
Zoo.
San Diego Zoo. Petco Park.
There you go.
Petco Park's actually pretty good.
It's a pretty stadium.
But I actually believe that with the economic downturn in Las Vegas and Atlantic City no longer even being a thing, there's an opportunity now for certain cities. Because remember, Ray Leonard, Duran, No Mas, Superdome, New Orleans. That was fun. So there used to be a time when boxing was more or less a national sport.
There were some
Mount Rushmore.
Oh, that's
there
a good
you go.
one.
That'd be awesome.
How about the White House? They're doing the White House at UFC.
Yeah.
They're doing so Mount Rushmore would be great.
You imagine how cool that would look?
Oh, in the background, that would look awesome. That would look awesome.
We should make a trip for
You know
that
what? They should do that for 4th of July.
4th of July, yes.
They should do that for 4th of July. Ooh, that's a good one, Frazier. That made me lose my train of thought. No, wait. I was just about to say something. Gosh damn.
Oh, by the way, the Clippers' new venue, I heard, is plush.
Oh, they knew it down is great.
And every building needs events.
Yes.
So, and I brought that up to Eric Gomez, and he said, Steve, if there's a correct event and we can make it work, we'll do it. Again, this is a business.
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
Here's one from MC. There are many pushing back at the thought of Usyk being a top 10 all-time great. Who else does he need to beat to convince more people that he deserves a spot there?
The people that are pushing back are arguing, I think, just for argument's sake. Because, again, we debated that in order, in our criteria, to qualify as an all-time great, would they have been competitive in any era? And I think the answer with Usyk is yes. He's competitive, I think, with any great heavyweight down the line. By the way, not just heavyweight, cruiserweight, if you want to start getting...
It's him and Holyfield,
It's him and Holyfield, 1 and 2. But he's definitely, I think, in the conversation. What does he got to do? Do another lap again? Yet again? Because he's already sort of cleaned it out. There's only really Joseph Parker. And especially at his age, at 38, I think everything is incredibly impressive. I love that dude.
If he beats Joseph Parker and dominates, he's basically cleaned out the division. And I get it. There's a guy like Agat Kabayel. But look... Who knows if there's mutual interest? And then people have talked about what if Jai Opataya moves up? Honestly, that'd be kind of interesting. If Jai Opetaia can show that he's a real heavyweight, right? Because Jai has speed, right? He's a southpaw. I don't know if the power would translate, but I think that would be interesting. But again, in my view, the one thing about Usyk that is more unique than anybody, he's never really had a home field advantage outside of his early fights. He's a complete consummate road warrior in the sport of boxing.
Which makes it even more impressive.
Yes, and finally from B. Drews. I've seen Xander Zayas a couple times now, and ESPN seems to praise with a tad bit of false exuberance. Do you think Sergey Boachuk versus Zayas would be good, and Al Flacco will take Zayas? Well, that was for is this Tom Loeffler or B. Drews?
That's a great fight.
That's a great fight, though, isn't it?
That's a really good fight.
One thing about Boachuk, and my understanding is he will be part of the Crawford-Canelo undercard.
Oh, nice.
They don't know who yet, but he'll be part of that crowd. One thing he's going to bring, activity. Now, he might lose the first couple of rounds as Zayas is boxing and shifting and moving, but he comes in waves.
A lot of people thought he won that Ortiz fight.
Right. So that would certainly be a fight that I know that our good friend Tom Loeffler would take.
Final flurries.
Mario, moving on to final flurries. First and foremost, last week we talked about the sudden and unexpected passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner, and that was certainly big news. But Mario, a couple days later, when you heard about the passing of a boyhood idol in Hulk Hogan, what were your thoughts?
Well, that whole week was tough for Gen Xers because we had Malcolm Jamal Warner, then we had Ozzy Osbourne. And for a kid that used to play the drums and was listening to Black Sabbath and Ozzy, I was like, whoa. And then, of course, a whole generation knows him from his show and stuff. And then Hulk Hogan. So I've interviewed hundreds, literally, of celebrities over my lifetime because of work, right? The only time I've ever been starstruck was when I interviewed Hulk Hogan. Because I think the 10-year-old in me came out, and it was just like larger in life. I was a teenager. And thank God he was cool, because they say never meet your heroes. You'll be disappointed. He was super cool. And I was a little bit of lost words. And he was just a larger-than-life figure, man. And I can't tell you how important he was in our generation. Eat your prayers. Or, pardon me, say your prayers. Eat your vitamins.
Listen to your parents.
Listen to your parents. And do your best, brother. That was, his mantra. And I tried to rip off so many shirts when I was a kid. And I had my mom cut the holes in the back. I look back and it was just, oh, man. And at 71 years old, which is really young.
Not for a wrestler, though. Not for a pro wrestler, it's not.
Unfortunately. I don't know. That one hit me hard. And
I was stunned.
It was just like part of our childhood kind of died right there. And, there was some controversy, people saying some stuff. And look, forget all that. And everybody's a flawed human. But what he meant to that generation, and there's been a lot of great wrestlers. I don't know if there's been more important wrestlers than Hulk Hogan. He has been the most iconic wrestler in my lifetime, where he transcended the sport. Dude, there were cartoons, there was ice cream, there was cereal. He did movies.
Mario, when he made the cover of Sports Illustrated, it was a huge deal.
Bro, it was next.
Because I remember again, I was like, wow, he made the cover of SI when it meant something.
And this is pre-social media, obviously, and probably at one point, probably the most famous person in the world.
Top 5.
And who can forget Thunder Lips? The ultimate male versus the ultimate meatball. He was awesome in that too, man.
I read that Vince McMahon Sr. fired him for it, and Vince Jr. said, no, that actually works, because that movie came out in 82, 83, and and I didn't know this, because I started researching it. So Hulk Hogan was actually in the WWF before.
Yeah.
Okay? And then he came back, and the most important thing that Hogan ever did, because they didn't really show wrestling in LA on Channel 9 until about 83. But I didn't know about all the other regions, the NWA, the AWA, the Mid-South. Everyone had a region.
Right.
But Hulk Hogan was the face of the nationalization or the mainstreamization of wrestling.
Absolutely.
And so when people say there's greater wrestlers, better up, none was more important than Hulk Hogan.
No.
Not even close.
He took the whole sport, theater to another level that honestly hasn't been seen. I guess The Rock is the closest as far as being the big enough star to be able to transcend. And he obviously took his movie star status to a whole nother thing, but Hulk Hogan started it all, man.
And then when he turned heel with the NWO, think about the impact. He basically was the foundation of the WWF.
Yeah.
And then that one was on the Turner Sports, like Nitro, right?
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
organization that was. And then that became a really big threat.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, man, this guy was a titan and he reinvented himself. Then he became a good guy again at the end, right? And then he had issues with Vince McMahon.
Yeah, well, the doc was good.
Right, and then they ended up saying, okay, we made each other a lot of money.
Yeah.
We're good. But rest in peace
Rest
to
in
a
peace.
truly American icon
Yes.
and a real American, Rick Derringer.
That's a great song.
Mario, I'm watching NFL Network. It's the return of the training camps, and I'm watching this on Sunday, doing a couple things. And Mike Yam, very good host, says, this weekend here really represents the start of the football season, the training camps. It's really the last weekend of the summer. I'm like, what? And he goes, and then when the kids are going back to school, I was like, what? And I walked my phone. I was like, it's July 27th. So I put up a tweet saying, hold on, folks. Is this really the end of the summer, and are kids really going back? And people on my timeline were saying, yes, they go back this Thursday, this Friday.
I don't know what friends you have.
No, in other states, yes.
Well, they must go in like a year-round system because most of the kids are going back in a couple weeks, which is still mid-August. When we grew up, which is still early.
Yeah.
When we grew up, it was like mid-September, wasn't it?
It was after
Labor Day.
At least after Labor Day.
Yes. Now it's crazy early, bro. But they get off earlier too, though.
No, but I'd rather have the summer.
So would I. But they get off earlier. But listen, as a parent, I'd rather get them out of the house quicker. So trust me, that's a whole nother thing right there.
It used to be so cool, especially if the Rams would get off to a 2-0 start. I'd be like, going back to school, Rams are 2-0, Dickerson's doing well. Now you don't even get the preseason to enjoy.
Bro, the baseball postseason hasn't even started.
No, the other thing was, so 4th of July always marks like, hey, we're into the heat of the summer, the meat of it, right?
Well, but usually Memorial Day to Labor Day is what marks summer, beginning and the end.
And then I remember I'd watch the Twilight Zone on KTLA. It used to come on at noon.
See, you are 65 years old.
Oh, shut up. So, and all these other
That shit's
things.
in black and white.
So
you
now,
gonna tell us about going to see the talkies?
and so then all of a sudden, they would, right around early August, Thrifties, back to school sale. You'd be like, oh my God.
Thrifties.
Thrifties.
Dude, Thrifties had the best ice cream. Do you
They
remember
did.
the
They
ice
still
cream?
do, though. It's just a different name, CVS.
No, it's not CVS. It's Rite Aid, fool.
Rite Aid, you're right. Okay. But when you would hear the back-to-school commercials, you'd just cringe. So now you're telling me kids are hearing the back-to-school commercials right around 4th of July?
No,
these
that's
poor-
too soon.
these
No,
poor
that's
kids.
crazy. I don't know who
These
you're talking
poor
to.
Kids.
It's more mid-August, but it's still significantly sooner than when we went to school.
I'll tell you, I know someone who's a teacher in Georgia, and they started their pre-planning stuff today.
Told you.
That's that. Yeah,
Told
that's
you.
wild. That's wild. Well, my kids and in the district, they're in there. They don't go back for another couple weeks. But by the way, I'd love for them to go right now. Get back. Let's get in there.
And Mario, I just saw something on Twitter. Maybe I saw it late, but I want to wish another American icon, another legend, maybe the greatest in his field ever, a happy birthday.
Who's that?
Bugs Bunny turned 85. That screwy rabbit.
He's 85. Yeah. Bro.
He's the best.
I remember watching Looney Tunes so much when I was a kid, especially on Saturday mornings. But the music they had like orchestras back then, and the content was so mature because a lot of adults. It was for kids, but it was a lot of adults.
They've cleaned it up in the last decade.
I don't
or
know
so.
if I used to like a lot, and he was part of the Looney Tunes family. Foghorn Leghorn.
Oh, hey,
Pay attention when I'm talking to you, boy.
Hey, boy, now yeah.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. I love.
Looney Tunes was an unbelievable franchise, but if that was the '90s Chicago Bulls, Bugs was Jordan. I mean, the range, the versatility,
Bugs
the characters.
He's the Iron Man of the whole thing, Yeah, exactly. He's the Mickey Mouse.
I mean, the way he could play baseball against the Giants, who were really Giants. He'd throw the slow ball, the screwball.
What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc?
He was like from Brooklyn.
And then he'd always take a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Yeah,
He'd always get lost.
A left point in Albuquerque.
So Looney Tunes was what? Sylvester the Cat, Tweety, Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote, Foghorn Leghorn,
Elmer Fudd,
and
Daffy Duck.
No, Daffy. Yeah, Daffy, not Donald. Daffy. And
Duck.
Daffy was always Daffy wanted Bugs' spot. You could tell that there was some
solid
tension.
too. He was pipping.
Yeah, there was a little bit of Shaq Kobe there with Daffy because Daffy thought he should be the star.
I forgot to ask you right here before to go backwards a little bit, since the Hulkster is obviously the George Washington on our Mount Rushmore. Who are the other three? For me,
Okay.
in no particular order, I got Hulk,
Okay.
and I got the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Okay.
Woo! Going NWA. See, that's Lincoln.
Now you're talking about favorite or considered the greatest? Because mine.
I favorite and mine. I think greatest too, because those two are the most iconic. He might be the last.
Macho Man.
Randy Macho Man Savage. Oh yeah. Macho Man, and then, oh gosh, dude. See, I'm going all old school. Like I want to throw The Rock in there, or whatever. But just growing up, old school.
Keep it
Dusty
simple.
Rhodes.
Steve Austin.
Dusty Rhodes wouldn't be it.
Steve Austin.
Mount Rushmore though.
As far as
Not Steve
favorite,
Austin.
see, you almost got to go eras.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna go all time, then I gotta go throw The Rock, dude. You gotta throw The Rock
All
in
right,
there.
so-
I'm going Rock, Randy Macho Man Savage, Ric Flair, Hulk. It's pretty good Mount
Those
Rushmore.
but my favorite guy, and he's going to be on the Rushmore.
Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper. And because of that, I got a Cowboy Bob Orton. AC,
Come
baby.
on, Cowboy Bob Orton.
Watch
Get
this
out
back.
of here, dude.
Watch this back.
Oh my God.
And he boxed. He was boxing Bob Orton. Remember that?
Who are the other two? Hulk.
Hulk has to, just because I know what he meant.
Yeah.
But as Roddy once said, Hulk is such a yo-yo. Remember that song? So who would my fourth guy be?
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Well, you're trying to do the Asian thing, so no.
I like Ricky Dragon.
Jimmy Snuka.
Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
I love Snuka. He took the coconut to the dome.
So did I. You know who else I really like too? Oh, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah, he was good.
With the DDT.
Yeah.
He used to do the DDT.
Sergeant Slaughter. Salute
Yeah,
to him.
he
He was solid.
Yeah.
Iron Sheik was always
Iron
a great.
Sheik was great.
Oh, but
Jabroni.
hold on. If you want to go wrestling characters, I would actually put in Bobby the Brain Heenan. He's hilarious. That guy.
Yeah,
was
but he was a manager. He
yeah,
wasn't-
but he was funny.
yeah.
Though.
Well, then I'd put in Jimmy Mount the South. You know.
Or
Yes.
Classy Freddie Blassie. That's
Classy
another
Freddie
great.
Blassie, yeah.
Mario.
Yes.
Something that caught your eye from Ice Cube. O'Shea Jackson opined about sports. He
Yes.
basically said
that Marcus Allen.
Okay.
Had a more impressive body of work and was an all-around better running back than Bo Jackson. Now, a lot of people might scoff at that, but Marcus, who I happen to know, and not just because he's from a neighboring neighborhood where I'm from.
619.
Yep. He's the only dude ever to be high school player of the year, win a national championship, win the Heisman Trophy, win a college national championship, win a Super Bowl MVP, and win comeback player of the year. And I felt like the dude played for 20 years as a running
Thanks
back.
to Al Davis, he did.
Because he made him sit down. But no, honestly, didn't as a running back to have a career, he must have played at least 2 decades.
Well, we'll put up the graphic. I believe what Ice Cube said was that Marcus Allen could basically do more things than Bo Jackson.
Do you dispute that?
No. And I'll tell you the most impressive thing I think you left out about all of Marcus's accolades.
Tell me.
He was the starting fullback for Charles White when he won the Heisman Trophy. So how many guys can be the fullback for the Heisman Trophy winner, and then the next year line up at tailback or a year or two later, and then win the Heisman? That'll never be done again.
Wow.
And
what an athlete.
For him to play running back that late into his life and still be really good. Marty Schottenheimer called him the greatest short yardage running back ever.
And he's a big dude.
Yeah.
He's not like a little Barry
6'3",
Sanders.
6'2".
Yeah, he's like 6'2", 6'3". He's a big dude, so a lot of target to hit. Usually your Emmitt Smiths, Barry Sanders have those longer careers. For a big dude like that to have a long career, very impressive.
And this is where I do look. Bo Jackson's an unbelievable, spectacular, once-in-a-lifetime athlete.
Phenom.
Sports. But
Phenom.
I believe that Marcus Allen could have played wide receiver, could have probably been a tight end, and defensive back was actually his favorite position in high school.
Wow.
If you ever watched the NFL Life, Football Life, he didn't want to play running back, so he started fumbling on purpose till his dad said, "Come here, Marcus. You're going to play running back if the coach asks. You're not doing that. So get your back down the field and start."
eyes.
And
Wow.
then ended up at, I think he went to Lincoln High.
Yeah, Lincoln High,
And
Southeast
he
San Diego.
So, and he wanted to be Ronnie Lott. And then Ronnie Lott was at SC, and they said, "Okay, you're going to running back." And I would say, in terms of being a pure football player, I do believe that he is superior to Bo Jackson, because that's a different argument. Is Bo Jackson the greatest athlete of our time?
That's different.
Probably is.
Yes.
Probably is. All right, well, that's it for this edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule.
Good stuff today, and I hope your red eye or pink eye gets better.
It's just Visine. Don't worry about it. But if we miss next week,
Can I please slowly zoom in on it?
Yeah, no, please don't. All right, we'll be back on the 3 Knockdown Rule on behalf of Mario Lopez, Smoke, and Tim Frazier. This has been the 3 Knockdown Rule brought to you by Hustler Casino.
Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to our show on YouTube. It's fun. It's funny. I break this guy's balls. His wig looks crazy every week, but it's still worth doing it. Check out these badass shirts. Check it out.
Even though Mario's on it, you'll still learn something, and it's still some insightful analysis. And then I bring the funny, and I don't know what he's wearing. I don't know. What are you talking about? I'm the star of the show here.
You bring the grump.
Oh, but the grump. Anyway,
I'm
like, subscribe,
yes,
Knockdown Rule.